So we all know the Darret. And as we know a couple of episodes back, I myself have signed up for the Darret. And it was only a matter of time before the Darret made its way into my inventory. And as you can clearly see, it did. You can blame Barry for that.
Pyro!
Hello.
I need you to do me a favor.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about our border, but before we do anything about the border,
Okay.
stop moving. There you go. That's yours now.
Okay. Yeah. I saw that coming when you told me you were going to come around. I had a feeling. Okay, then.
So my question.
Yes.
My question for you, my good friend. Do you want a hard truth, an easy truth, a hard dare, or an easy dare?
I'm gonna go for an immediate hard dare.
Alright, I'm glad you chose this because I've come prepared. I want you
Okay.
to go full horse breeding mode and breed me up a maxed out horse. I want the best jump, the best speed. I want him to be freaking like tricked out, my guy. Alright? And if you can get him that way, I want him to be purely black.
Wait, hold on a minute. No, you want a fully maxed out horse, and it has to be black?
Okay, well, I want the fully maxed out horse because I want the stats, but I want it black so I can name it Blackjack after the Percy Jackson Pegasus.
Ah, and how much time do I have to do that in?
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
14 days.
14 days. So I'm gonna be spending the next 2 weeks breeding horses.
Yep.
I guess I have no other choice. I mean, I have no points, so I have no other choice. I don't want to get into the negative, so I guess challenge accepted.
Glad to hear it.
Now get out of here. You're scaring me.
But we didn't. Okay, we'll talk about another day, I guess.
So as you just saw right there, with Barry passing on the Darret to me, he dared me to get him a horse. Not just any horse though, a horse with maximum stats, and it preferably has to be black. He gave me 2 weeks to complete the dare, and between you and me, there are 5 days left from those 2 weeks at the time of me recording this. So I better hurry up, otherwise I will go into the negatives in the Darret minigame, which is not what I want. Now I haven't been sitting idle during the past 9 days. Yes, I've been busy, I couldn't record and stuff, but I have been working a little bit on getting this dare completed. If I turn around right here, as you can see, there is a huge structure right here, which is going to... well, it's gonna give aesthetics to the dare. This huge structure right here is gonna be an enormous horse stable, which isn't really part of the dare, but I really wanted to do it. The idea came to my mind and I couldn't stop myself. I brought it to life. I actually don't really know how big this is. Probably the easiest way to count how big this area is by opening the chunks, and well, we're going a bit into this chunk right here. Then we got 1 chunk, 2, 3, 4 chunks. So let's say 5 chunks here, and 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 5 by 4 chunk area. That is huge. So this is going to be where we breed up our horses to start a program of selective breeding to get a perfect horse with the maximum stats that you can get on a horse. Well, I've been doing my research, and apparently a horse with maximum stats can run at a speed of 15 meters per second, that is 15 blocks per second in game, can jump up to 5 blocks high, has 14 hearts if I remember correctly, and that's pretty much it really. A horse only has 3 stats: his speed, his jump height, and his health. So this is what we're going to be working towards in today's video. We're gonna be spending our time working on this project right here, as well as breeding horses. This should be a really fun episode, so I hope you guys are excited, and without any further ado, let's start working on making some progress. Actually, before we get to that, there's something that popped up over here where my farms are located, and that is something I think I know who left it here. I think it was our good buddy Mr. Romeo along with Cal. He left us a llama. I'm pretty sure that was him because I saw it in his video. He was spreading, well, he was trafficking llamas all across the server. So let's ride on this bad boy. He has a chest on him, and if we open his inventory, he has a book and quill. I have no idea what is written in this book and quill, so let's find out together. You have been visited by Carlos the Magical Gift Llama. May his presence offer you great tidings of peace, love, and confusion as to how this llama even got here in the first place. Well, joke's on you because I know who brought this llama here, so I can't even be confused. In fact, I'm not even surprised because this is the kind of thing I expect from you two jokers. Anyways, let's give the llama his book back and we're just gonna go back to working on our thing for today's episode. So there are a lot of steps to completing this dare as well as completing this project I'm working on alongside the dare. So I already mentioned the huge horse stable that's going to go right here, but there's something which I didn't start on and never mentioned, and that is a build that's going to go right here, as well as a couple of builds that are going to go right here. So first step is going to be working on this side, and this side is going to be where our horse training area is gonna be. So the first step is flattening out the areas just a little bit. As you can see right here, we've got this small area which is going to be enough temporarily. Then we start pulling out all the resources we are going to need. I have right here 14 dark oak fence gates, and I'm going to just place those in a straight line right here. This should be a suitable position for them. There we go, and nothing gets in its way. And then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna place a wall right here, and oh, that actually gets connected to that, so maybe we can place a whole block there. Or you know what, it doesn't really matter if the first block gets connected, so we're just gonna do that and then place a whole line of planks like so. And on this block right here, I'm gonna place down a button. Actually, you know what would be better to do is removing the button and placing down a pressure plate, which you can place right here, though this is it's not really gonna look as nice as I thought it would though. But that's fine, we can improvise later. First, let's make this thing actually functional. So I have removed the little decoration. What we're gonna do is place down a line of redstone along all the planks. And this is exactly 15 redstone dust. So all of these fence gates should get powered. So if we press the pressure plate, all of those open. And if we step off the pressure plate, all of the fence gates close. Perfect. And now what we can do is place down a slab on top of the redstone dust, and on those slabs I'm gonna place down signs with numbers from 1 until 14. So we're gonna start 1, 2, 3, 4, plop, and plop, and they're all done now. You can read them pretty clearly. And the little build is complete. Now you may be wondering what this thing is. Well, it's a really simple speedometer. I bet you know what a speedometer is. It's basically just a little thing that tells you the speed. I mean, come on, we're all familiar with speedometers. Anyway, so the way this thing works is basically you walk around, so you back off and then you start walking forward, pressing on the pressure plate, and the pressure plate stays down for exactly 1 second, because wooden pressure plates stay down for 20 ticks, and 20 ticks in game is equal to 1 second in real life. So what you do is walk forward and step on the pressure plate until the 1 second is over, and then the fence gates close, and wherever the fence gates close is how fast you are. So let's try that one more time. To make sure this actually works properly, what I'm gonna do is compare it to a fact. So I'm just gonna back off a little bit just to make sure that I'm aligned where I can easily pass through the fence gates, and then I'm just gonna start walking forward, and I get stopped in between the 3 and the 4 area. That isn't quite right, so let's give it another test just to make sure, and this time it's between the 4 and 5, again between the 3 and 4, and now it's between the 4 and 5 again. So with the results we got, we could say that this little speedometer right here is pretty accurate. If you didn't know, the average player's walking speed is 4 point something blocks per second, and since you can't stop at the fence gate itself, you're either gonna get pushed forward or pushed backwards, then I guess this thing is pretty accurate. So what we're gonna be using this thing for is measuring the speed of our horses. Because there is no real way of finding out how fast a horse is, we're gonna need to find a way to do that, either by calculating some stuff or by making this little simple speedometer. So let's put this thing to the test with an actual horse. You might have seen earlier that I passed by down here under where the horse stable is going to be, and as you can see, I have been breeding a whole lot of horses. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pick one of them. I'm gonna take this red one with the red leather armor right here, and we are gonna head towards our speedometer, and we're gonna back off. We're gonna align ourselves properly because we do not want to hit the wall right here. That is just going to make things bad for us. So what we can do is align ourselves with the post of the fence gate right here, because when the fence gates are open you can easily pass through it. So I'm just gonna close that, ride my horse, step back a little bit, align myself, and in 3 2 1 we are gonna run. And this horse isn't really that fast, and as you can see we get stopped at the 8 blocks per second mark. So this guy isn't really the fastest horse, is he? So I guess with the speed he's visually going at, it's pretty reasonable that he stops at the 8 blocks per second mark. So this is what we're going to be using to find out the horse's speed. If the horse manages to outrun the 1 second of the pressure plate and manages to pass this last fence gate without it closing, then that means the horse definitely has more than 14 blocks per second speed, and of course more than 14 is most probably 15. I mean, it's common sense, mathematical knowledge. Now for aesthetics purposes, what I'm gonna do is remove the ground for now, and I'm gonna replace it with terracotta to make it look like a racing track. There we go. Now that doesn't look too bad. Next up, what we're gonna do is the jumping test. So we have the speedometer here to test out the horse's speed. Now we need to find a way to find out the horse's jump height. So we're gonna start by placing down a couple of fences right here, and these fences are gonna be where our colorful little pillars are gonna go. This is what they look like, and they're exactly 5 blocks high. The maximum jump height of a horse is 5 blocks high, so if a horse can jump over these punching bag looking pillars, then their keepers are gonna be keeping the horses. Otherwise, did you think I'm gonna say kill them? I'm not a monster. I'm just going to send them to the horse stable where they can live peacefully. Anyways, there's really not much to the jumping test, and what I'm gonna do is do the same thing I did over there with the terracotta and try to connect them up with a little curve over there at the front. Well, to the mesa we go. And there we have it. The little racetrack is fully complete. We have the curve right here. What happens is when passing after the speedometer, the roadway kind of expands a little bit here to give space for the horses to be able to give them their freedom while jumping over the punching bag like little poles here. Now what we're gonna start working on is the main build, the main horse table right here, because that's the horse's living quarters. I mean, this little pit right here, these little couple of pits right here are not gonna cut it. They're just not gonna work out, and it's better to keep the horses in an area where I could keep track of them. I could also, like, in front of each kind of horse plot, I can have a sign to tell me which of like I can give them names and stuff. That's the sort of thing I'm looking for. So that's why I'm making this area, to just be able to you know, keep the horses in a suitable place for them and to be able to keep track of each and every one of them. So how about we head to the test world for this one to check out what sort of design I have for the horse stable. So welcome to the mess, which is my test world. Here is where I do all my testing, and today we're presenting the horse stable. So we don't really have that grand of a design. It's a really simple barn design. We've got a little double slanted roof right here. Half of the building is a little taller than the other half. The walls don't really have much detail. They're just simple stripped spruce wood, and there is a beam going through the top, a spruce beam right here. And you might have spotted earlier on the OmathaCraft server, we have little pillars here, little smooth basalt pillars which go all the way up to the roof. And a small little addition here on the walls, we have those little kind of cross thingies here. I don't know, I see them all over the place on like horse stable fence gates and on the walls and stuff. I don't know, it's just a sort of pattern which you see commonly, so I decided to add it on the walls, and it really doesn't look that bad. It kind of does tell me that this is a horse stable sort of build. I mean, if I didn't know that this is meant to be a horse stable and I saw this cross design, then I'd probably figure out that this place is for horses. Now, a little side note, I never actually finished designing the whole building. Fun fact, the area I have right here in my test world isn't actually as big as the area on the OmathaCraft server. I just really wanted to put something together really quickly to have a little general idea in mind. So, other than the front, that being the sides and the back, and of course all the decoration in the inside, except for this middle pathway right here, the plan is to just wing it. So let's hope for the best, go back to the OmathaCraft server and start building. So for some reason, this process is satisfying to me. This has to be one of the weirdest occurrences in Minecraft. A skeleton jockey with an invisible spider that when he turns his head, you can't see his eyes, so he's completely invisible. And like the skeleton, just like that, and oh, he stood up. I guess the spider despawned. And now a big portion of the build is complete. We have the walls intact, as you can see right here, and we have half of the roof complete. We've got the lower slanted roof complete. We still need to complete the one that's going to be higher than it, or I guess you could say technically it's on top of it. But I decided that we'll get around to finishing the rest of the roof at a later time, because we are down to 3 days left until my dare is due to completion. So I only have 3 days to deliver this horse, otherwise I lose a point in the Darret minigame. So I have started working on the horse part of this whole dare, or the main part, well, the only part of the dare. I mean, the whole build isn't part of the dare and stuff. Anyways, I have been working with horses, and I have been measuring their speeds, measuring their jump height and all that, breeding them and all that sort of stuff. And I managed to separate a whole bunch of those. So here in this pen we have ones that have a 9 block per second speed. Here we have the horses that can go up to 10 blocks per second, and these horses can run up to 11 blocks per second. And after a couple of days, more than a week now, the dare is not over with. And that is because Barry decided to let me know that he has lifted the deadline from the dare, so I no longer have a specific amount of time in which I have to complete the dare of getting him the perfect horse, which is both good and bad. Good because I can continue working on the horse paradise project thing I'm working on while trying to get the perfect horse, and bad because looking for the perfect horse sucks. So during the past week or so, I have been working on this place a little bit and working on breeding up horses, since I wasn't able to record that much. But here we are back here again, and as you can see, the front of the building is complete. Actually, the whole shell of the building is complete. The roof is all complete, and it's fully mob-proofed with carpets. All the walls are intact, and as I said, I have completed the front of the building. We've got nice little decorations as the ones I showed you in the test world. Yeah, that happens to me a lot, and this time I'm going to leave it in the video. Anyways, there's also one little addition I decided to do. So if you remember, in the test world we had those crosses on both of the walls here at the front, but I decided to have the ones closer to the doorway as windows with this sort of wooden beam detailing. Before we go on, I just noticed there is a yellow shulker box with a golden axolotl head. What is this about? Who left this here? Yeah, this is a golden axolotl head. Oh, that's just my shell. Who put this gold axolotl head on my shulker box? Anyways, back to the topic of our window here. As you can see, this window is actually not just a bunch of glass with wooden beams around it. In the front, we have brown stained glass, and at the back of the window, we have tinted glass. Oh, and I also never neglected the inside. I think you probably noticed, but we now have wooden beams across the roof, as you can see right here, and they're all mob-proofed with pressure plates. This took me way too long to complete, and also a lot of wood. Multiple stacks of pressure plates, which I never thought I would have to craft. Anyways, that's all what I've done in terms of building. And I mentioned that I've been doing a whole lot of horse breeding, and as you can see behind me, the barn is getting pretty full here. On this side here of the barn, we have a whole lot of horses here. A lot of horses, actually. Many horses, which don't have the best of stats, so I'm just gonna keep them here to fill up the barn, basically. And when we start adding in actual pens, the ones that look way better than this, they can just sit around and kind of fill up the barn. However, on this side, we have 4 separate pens, and I have decided to use those in a way to kind of like, in a systematic way to breed the horses. So this pen has just a couple of horses with some semi-good stats, so these are just gonna exist for now. I'm gonna be working with those a bit later down the line. But then we have those 3 pens right here. So each one of the pens consists of at least 2 horses, 2 main parents, which we have signs for down here at the front of the pen. So in this one, the 2 parent horses are the blue one and the iron one, and then we have their stats. And then what I do is breed up those two horses and get the offspring. And I have a book and quill right here to take notes of the offspring of each of the horses. So for example here, I just took the book from the book and the lectern here, and what I do is after breeding up the horses and when the offspring grows up, I compare the stats of the offspring with the stats of the parents. And as you can see right here in this very pen, we have had two offspring so far. This guy right here that just grew up earlier is the third offspring. So what I'm gonna do is on the next page we're gonna start typing in offspring 3. Then we're gonna list the stats right here, and then we're gonna decide whether the offspring should replace one of its parents or get discarded. Horses that get discarded basically end up over there. The ones that replace their parents, well, they replace their parents and then we can use them to get even better offspring. And that's what I'm doing for each one of these pens right here. Now the best horses I have to my possession are the ones right down here. This white horse with the black horse armor and this white horse with the diamond horse armor. This horse isn't actually mine. This one's Vapor's, so big thanks to Vapor for letting me borrow his horse for breeding purposes. So what I'm doing is basically just the same thing. I'm breeding up the best horses I have until I get a offspring that's better than one of the parent horses. And in this very pen, I haven't actually gone too far. I barely even tested out the first offspring, which is this guy, which I'm gonna do a bit later down the line. So that is going to be the horse breeding system I'm gonna be using to hopefully try and get the best horse possible. With these two, hopefully sooner rather than later, we start getting better and better stats, and we will end up with the perfect horse, which we can give to Barry to earn our 3 points in the Darret minigame. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to do that right now, as we have come to the end of the video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. If you did, be sure to leave a like. Also consider subscribing, as that would be greatly appreciated. And for now, I'm gonna see you all in the next video, where we're gonna hopefully be even closer to getting the perfect horse and finishing up with this dare. And hopefully in the next video, I should remember to pass on the dare. So be sure to look forward to that. And for now, I'll see you guys in the next video. Farewell, lads.